Sometimes keep it simple, sometimes keep its feelings up high. Don't overthink it like you always do. That's just fucking you.
It's saying it's not showing up that we're on live for him. So he's probably like heavily shadow banned.
It's like a little to see beauty hiding behind this person. How you manage, it's a challenge for me.
Snakes in the grass. Don't know who you facing. It's Freddy versus Jason. Machete in my hand, walking back and forth pacing.
Hey, I made that beat.
I was playing
That's fine.
both sides of this horse, dog baiting, way off the grid. Can't find my location. Nope, not even CIA databases. Smoking on papers, counting blue faces. 97 Air Max with the gold bases. Betting with the homies on the clips and the Lakers. Puffing on skizzies, the gorilla glue flavor. Never been a hater, only motivated to do for myself while these other niggas waiting. I'm locking shit down, 96, Gary Payton. Yeah.
Real shit from a real nigga.
Oh, okay. I see him.
Real shit from a real nigga.
Yeah.
Let's see if he can hop in.
Real shit from a real
There he is. Hopefully we can hear him.
How's it sound?
Not too bad, not too bad. Turn it down, LJ.
When I shoot, you can go and run, you can't hide in the truth, man. I'll be more focused when I'm high in the booth. I swear this shit is simple like time to shoot.
All right, yeah, you sound okay. Audio was one thing I was worried about.
It's not lagging?
No, actually you came in clear now. You're good.
All right, cool.
Man, that took a minute.
I know, man.
I was like, we may not be able to get him on. I'm not happy about that. So,
yeah, man. I wonder. That was weird. But yeah,
they probably try to keep you from speaking. You know what I mean? But we gonna make sure you get.
I'm like that.
You get some time. So,
word, man.
So,
thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you taking some time to come on. I thought now would be a pretty important and dire time to talk about a lot of I know the stuff that you've learned over the years, because me personally, I've actually been watching your stuff for a while, and a lot of the info you put out is some stuff that actually changed a lot of the stuff that I've been doing individually, like when it comes to fasting, when it comes to food, when it comes to the breathing. This is all stuff I came across over the years. So I feel like this information is dire for people to know right now with this time that we're in. So if you want, introduce yourself as much as you possibly want to, as much as you want people to know, about you and kind of just where you are right now in your journey.
All right. I'm originally from New Jersey, and then I moved to California when I was 18, so I could play ball. I went to school to play football.
Right.
And and so then I don't know. I just met a lot of people like that were in a totally different mind state in California, and I met this raw vegan lady, and I had heard about it. I listened to Sebi and everything. So. It was sinking into my life already, but once I had seen it, man, she was like, an older woman, so her skin was just so nice, man, and I was struggling with my skin at the time, especially like 17, 18, like, so she was so calm too, man, like really like one of the most calmest people I've ever met, man, and like she didn't try to push it on me at all. She just was like, yeah, I'm raw vegan, and I was like, oh, what's that like? I've only read about those. And it's like I you don't get it much where I was from in New Jersey, and then it was like, oh man, like 13, 14 years ago now. So like it wasn't the shelves on it were a lot different. California was like always kind of, I guess, like with the trendy health stuff, it was always, I guess, more available. But
Right.
yeah, it wasn't like that so much on the East Coast or other places I would go.
No, that's
So,
true
but
because I mean I haven't really been to the East Coast. I think the furthest I've probably been was Ohio because I used to live out there when I was younger. But definitely on the West, it's definitely a different type of personality, I guess. You know what I mean? It's especially when you have the water, you have the beaches, you have the weather. It's like a Florida on the West, basically, in a way. And so yeah,
yeah,
definitely when it comes to health, definitely growing agriculture and stuff. I think it's pretty easy to do out here when you have this. So when how did I mean, of course, you said that you pretty much had followed Sebi, but what really I would say led you into really taking on that task of like, your health. Because one thing I noticed, at least for me personally, is once I started taking care of like my health, what I put inside of me, everything changed. Spiritually, everything has changed as well. So how was that like for you?
yeah. Once I got the wheels in motion, it was really crazy, man. Like as far as like, 'cause I don't know, like I felt like just such a contrast in the way my body felt immediately, and it was kind of like, yeah, like being in California, being in a different heat that I was exposed to in New Jersey. It was like, I don't know, I just couldn't even tolerate certain foods because it was just so much heat, and I was just getting, my body was staying in that longer than like it had ever done, like consistently.
Mm.
So I was like, man, this you know,
Right.
um,
Yeah,
this
different
feels great.
climates.
I can't. Yeah, I didn't want to ruin how good I felt with the foods. It just didn't feel. It felt less worth it to have. Like soon as it was no way that I could have any kind of dairies and stuff because I was always trying to like dip back into vegetarianism when I'm like 17, 18, and I was when I got to California, it was no way. It was too hot, man. Like, it was just too hot. Like I could. It just was so disgusting to have anything dairy, any cheese or anything.
Right.
And so
Well,
yeah, so
I
like
want to ask you this question too, by the way, is because since you bring that up, like, at a young age, like when we're kids, we can tolerate certain things because we're just discovering everything. I used to, when I was a teenager, I used to eat, I don't want to say horrible, but definitely not the best. And then it wasn't until I got older until I realized like, okay, this stuff is actually not sitting well, like with, the chemistry of my body. So, did you kind of discover any of that for yourself? Were you allergic to anything? Was there anything that kind of, certain health problems that just kind of put you on that path at all? Or was it more so doing your own research and just deciding I'm not going to do this anymore? I'm not going to eat this way or drink this way.
Yeah, I was just having like certain symptoms, like like I was just getting earaches and stuff. Like so
Mm.
more so when I was in the hot weather, and then in California, I was where I was at. It was like pretty consistently hot, and I would get earaches every time I would have dairy and stuff, and it would just kind of force me back into like looking into stuff, like why things are the way they are,
Mm.
and like it kind of one thing led to another, and at the same time, I really wanted to like if this can make me better, and physically like help more healthy, then I want to apply this to my life, on the football field, like because I didn't play a position, like I wasn't a line, I was a quarterback, so I was like, man, I could definitely still do this,
Right.
and so it was you know, that was kind of like a lot of my motive was like, I really do feel better. I really feel like more clarity. I feel like the game is slower. Like everything is just easier. But at the same time, like as my body changed, I just really, the more my body changed and I detoxed more and more, my body was communicating with itself
Mm.
and like freed up and breathing and circulating. Like the more it just was more difficult to care about the things that I thought I cared about. Like, what I mean, as far as like what I was kind of like structured to strive for, like, like, I don't know. I couldn't focus on learning, other team. I couldn't focus on film and none of that stuff. I was just like, man, I want to just watch like Dr. Africa videos and,
Right.
Bobby Hemmett and Sebi and all that, everything, just everything. I was just really trying
All
to
right.
absorb like all of this. It felt so kept from me, like as far as like, but it like resonated. You know what I mean? I felt like, damn, man, because
Absolutely.
I had my brother's best friend was vegetarian, man. And he was always like, ridiculously strong. Like, he's from Trinidad, and like it just was. I don't know. I never questioned like vegetarianism. I just never knew how like I never knew vegans until California.
Mm.
and and I really feel like it did help to just see it in motion, to really see it live, to see somebody that really like been living that life for like years and decades at this point, I guess.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it really like I think physically seeing it and then actually like feeling the benefits. Like every step was like I could see the benefits, and every regression I'm like, oh man, this is crazy. Like it's not. I know too much. I know what organ is doing what and where it's at and what that feeling means and these signals now, to where I'm like, man, I can't even front to myself anymore.
I'm glad you said that because there's I talk to people about this stuff, sometimes about like fasting. They have no idea about it. But one of the biggest things, and also one of the things I learned from you too, is it's obviously that less is more. The less that, is basically inside of you, the more you can do. The more energy you have when you fast, when you're empty, so to speak. You have more room to put things or to use. And so when it comes to number one, something like energy. When people are eating, like let's say not even just vegan, you know what I mean? Not even just that, because you can still eat vegan food because it's cooked and it can still kind of weigh you down just a little bit because it's dense. But, when you're talking about things like barbecue or any type of animal products, of how much that weighs you down, tires you out, makes you sluggish, clogs your mind, when you because a lot of people probably don't know, definitely the people who are following me, that you went about a year, or was it longer, of not eating anything, straight fast, just breathing?
No, I wasn't. It wasn't just breath. I was just having liquids.
Oh, okay. So
I was just only having liquids for like 13 months.
okay. And so can you explain, at least to the viewers, how that felt for you? Because I've had so many people tell me they can't go a day or two or three without eating. And I mean, they're just not used to even hearing stories like this.
Yeah, and I know it's tough, like on the mind in the beginning. I don't know. I guess like certain times just being sick in my life and then just reverting to fasting kind of like made it more obvious for me. I don't know, like, but that was kind of like always just like something I would just inadvertently do or innately do. Like I kind of if I got sick, I would just stop everything,
Right.
and I feel like it was easier for me to kind of get into the fasting thing because of that, and then honestly, just having Muslims around me too.
Mm.
Just the idea of fast was kind of it wasn't really foreign, and so like because like my uncle was he was close in my life in my early years, and he was Muslim, converted in prison like a lot of people, but like it just got introduced to the idea, like I feel like just having it in your face, like you're like, what is that, what are you not eating,
Right.
or like when people give stuff up for Lent and stuff like that. I mean, I had seen it, so I'm like, oh man, okay, that's what you're doing, and I guess they always pushing it like you're restoring your body and everything, and you're testing yourself and I always like could see the benefits of it, and I heard about different things about people getting lost in the desert and just only having water for 40 days and
Hmm.
stuff like that, and like having a total like I had seen it was like I don't know, man, like it was an ABC special when I was a kid, and this Spanish dude, he was like got lost in the desert or something, and he had like 40 days he was out there and like only had like water, like a little bit of water, and made it through that. Had the Bible, and he said
Yeah.
like he just read it and just continually read it until he didn't need it anymore. And they were like looking for him. They found his Bible. They thought he killed himself, but like I just those ideas, what had like infected me kind of where when I was coming across like Sebi and Arnold Ehret. By that point, I was like, okay, I can put these pieces together. Like, oh man, like this is really all drugs. Basically what Sebi is saying, like
Yeah.
the food has been engineered to where it's like drugs,
Absolutely.
and like, and because he was stressing like everything that's cultivated, God didn't make and everything, and it's just like, man, it's so true though, man. Like the way that they've manipulated things through the the cultivation process, so like the breeding to where now every time you see a honeydew or whatever you see, you want it to look a certain way, have a certain texture, have a certain kind of taste. And life isn't kind of really like that, like people have different tastes and different textures and stuff. And so, it's just like they manipulated it to where people get the juiciness and the sweetness and the different
Hmm.
physical variety, things that are, attacking your senses because, and for the shelf life too. There's so many different things. They like genetically manipulated these these plants. And it's like, it really, every time they're just violating the code, the more they do it, and the more, it's breaking a template down, and then you are what you eat. So it's like,
Absolutely.
we're like, it's like fiat currency. It's not, it's not backed by anything. It's like fiat food. And then they made, like, we got fiat people, kind of.
Yeah, no, you're right. And one thing too, I want to touch on that you said, and then LJ, I'll let you ask whatever you want to ask as well to get some time in. But yeah, one thing you said was talking about, basically the genetically modified. We have fruits, vegetables, and things that are basically made by man. And Dr. Sebi had mentioned that as well. He has basically a whole chart, a whole list that tells you pretty much what to use or what to go by and what not to go by. And I mean, I follow his, you know what I mean? For the most part, I pick from there. But for a lot of people, you'll see people who are doing these juice fast or whatever it is for them. And they're using, such things like carrots, they'll even use seedless watermelons and anything that's not natural or from the earth. I personally just I don't want, you know what I mean? I don't want. So, what would be,
Yeah.
some advice for people, that you would give people who want to kind of start, I would say, on a path of health and wellness, where they should start with looking for the right things to get, whether it be herbs, fruits, vegetables, things of the sort.
I think people should definitely, like, gravitate towards the herbs and intermittent fasting of whatever they already eat, and then they can, through the intermittent fasting process and an incorporation of the herbs, pushing on the different organs in different ways, so you can release some of that mucus. Your diet is going to get forced to change. There's going to be so much discomfort from, having the Sebi thing in mind, I guess you could always just replace as much as possible with the ingredients that whatever you're working with to change it. And now, the herbs being in there consistently, you're going to have, a lot of breakthroughs and realizing, especially because if you're not eating for, hours at a time or days at a time, a day or once a day, or, you're stretching it as long as you can, then you'll realize what's really getting in your way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Which ingredient.
You did mention that though. You said that when you pretty much first started, you became more aware of your organs, your liver, your kidneys, things that we lose sense of, as we just kind of go about life robotic. And that's one thing I try to tell people about, fasting is just I think it's a cure all, where you're not only just, helping shed all of this stuff that your body doesn't need, but you're actually becoming the less is more. So you're starting to become more aware of your body and what it needs and what it wants. And I think that is something a lot of people are really lacking, especially right now in the time that we're in. A lot of people don't know themselves, so they can't know what's outside of themselves, in a sense. So, LJ, is there anything you want to ask or you want to touch on?
Um, just wanted to ask, what are some teachings from Hemet and Sebi that you hold dearly to yourself, that you value?
I mean, it's really this, man. It's a lot. I can say, like, I feel like I just have to bring them up, especially him, because he was talking about a lot of this stuff early on. He was talking about Montauk Chia and the multi-orgasmic man and breatharianism in the '90s.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, he was, he wasn't the best example, but I mean, I gotta give him credit for just even bringing it into people's minds to fathom it, because then it could change. Like, you never know, the idea could just wake something up in somebody, especially him and his voice. So I don't know, but with Sebi, certain things, like, he just nails it. Like, as far as, like, talking about reproduction, talking of just a lot of things, the way I feel like he, it just makes sense, like, in such a core, like to your core, to where it's like, man, this is unavoidable truth. This is basic. This is so pure because it's so basic. It's the way he's saying certain things. And I would just say, like, with Sebi, man, just what he talks about, just the hybridization of plants and the hybridization of humans and the whole, creative process. And, it just, Man, it's so many things that I can't. It's so many things I would cherry pick from Sebi. I guess ultimately, like just things that he points out, and I'm like, I can make the correlation just because it's like, oh yeah, this is true. Like his product was Viento, the main product, and it means wind. He always was talking about things that's heavily laden with iron and oxygen, and it's like it just I made the connection through a lot of different things in athletics with that because. I guess because that was the way I was approaching it. Just I had to translate things through sports.
Right.
So I remember T.O. he used to do the hyperbaric chambers, and I'm like, oh, this does make sense. You heal faster with air and having the I guess a greater intake of air, and it all made sense. Like Sebi would talk about it at a cellular level, and I'm like, man, I can feel like at a cellular level, the more I wake up different areas of my body through the breath work and through the whole lifestyle, like. That the cells just can breathe more, and it's just the more that I obstruct that, it just totally changes my consciousness, and it's no way I could hide. It all made sense to me.
So
based on my experience.
So would you say that probably Dr. Sebi is one of your main influences in probably changing your life from where you were to where you are now?
Yeah, just because just him saying certain things to my 17-year-old mind, and then like actually then going and meeting vegans and then going through different symptoms, it all clicked for me. But Dr. Africa though, he brought it into the way he translated into a way that the mainstream anybody that studies medicine, they can't even deny what he's saying. So I feel like with Sebi, he would have grandiose ways of saying things, and it would discredit him immediately with the medical community. But Dr. Africa I feel like he really translated the holistic health thing
right
to where no one can run from it, the way he put it together. And so through taking his courses and then meeting his the guy that's mentoring him, I met the Pharaoh, meeting him, and then it just when you see it in the flesh, man, and certain things happen to you, you're just like, okay, this is, I guess, this does change it. I wonder how it would have been if I met Sebi, but I feel like having met Dr. Africa's mentor, it really, like, I don't know, it made it to where I couldn't deny it. Because, I really wanted to be healthy and do certain things kind of to get money. It really wasn't like I was really trying to influence people on a spiritual level. I was just like, man, I can get money.
Yeah.
And, this would make sense, and I felt like nothing was making sense. I was like, man, I could definitely come up, man. There's a lot of people around me not making sense.
Right.
And so I really was like, all right, fine, I'll be a naturopath. Why not? I'll get my certificate. So I took Dr. Africa's course, and, I really just wanted that certification. It really changed my whole life. I didn't think that it was going to get to me like this, like where I'm at now, where I'm like, oh, this is what I think about now.
Right. And see, but
I'm glad though.
That's interesting though, because that's something that happens natural. It happens organic. So it's like when you make that shift from eating healthy, it's not just about, oh, I want a nice body. You know what I mean? It's like now all these other things come along with it because you start to see how unhealthy you were, and it's not just from a physical standpoint. It's also from a mental standpoint and a spiritual standpoint. These things come naturally when you start to change not only just your mind, but, what you put in your body and what you consume, and not just consuming in terms of food, but consuming in terms of the music you listen to, the frequencies, right? The movies, the video game stuff you play. Right. It's all this stuff coincides together. So, what would you, I'm really interested in finding out how you feel about some of the stuff that's going on right now, globally. We don't need to get into too much, but we know the basics, and how you see this affecting, everybody on a spiritual level as well.
Yeah, I feel like people really got to protect and respect their sanity as much as possible, because it's just like an assault on sanity at some level, to where you're really dealing with, like, it's like Shutter Island. They're making a country like Shutter Island. So I think it's just because there's so much psychosis at this point. Like, when I walk it back, sometimes I get fixated on like my own little things, like as far as that, like the cycle, being hard on myself and the cycles. But then I meet people and I'm like, man, this is where your mind is at right now. This is crazy. This is, not because,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like being broadcasted. It's really like crazy where the fear and the anxiety and the anger and all of this is being conjured up like this. I'm like, man, this is incredible. Like what it's doing, and what is happening in the machine is like, eating people up pretty much. Like with the everything that's happening in the world politically. And I mean, it's so much, man. This thing, right?
It's a spiritual
It's so
warfare,
big,
right?
to unwrap it.
It is.
To unwrap it, it's crazy. Like, it's an attack on the supply chain. It's an attack on all small and medium business. It's obvious attacks, attacks on melanated people and melanin in general and the breath. And it's so many, like, oh man, it's like they're trying to get like 30 birds with one stone, and you can just talk about the agenda because we can all see it from a mile away. Like,
well,
it's the smart
some
city,
can't
smart
though.
city agenda.
Some can't, and it's mind-boggling to me that you can literally sit here and pinpoint the whole plan out, but people are just like, you're a conspiracy theorist, which we're literally living in what us who knew what was going on and what was going to happen. This is the conspiracy theory that we're inside of right now, and yet people still call it that. So one thing, I know you kind of are secluded as much as you want to be a lot from people, and you know what I mean, because it's also, like you said, it's an attack on sanity. Do you find yourself engaging with many people as of right now, or are you kind of just like, I'm going to do my own thing, and you know what I mean, so that way I can keep my peace? Because we are kind of in a time where I feel like if you haven't woken up by now, it's too late. But you still have people that are trying to get people to see what is actually happening. So kind of where are you at with that?
Man, it's such a tough vetting process, man, for like to getting close to people at this point, man. Like it's really, I don't know if it's just the paranoia that's been bred from, different lifestyle choices that I've made, but man, it's really tough, like, to expand the circle because you don't have the 3D interaction like you used to. Like, you meet people in person more, and then I feel like it's just easier to trust it. You're like, man, like, I don't know you from Adam, but I met you in person because we happen to share the same interests, be doing the same things, and we're in the same rhythm of something happening in my life. But like, when now it's all digital, it's like such a block. Like, having this interface between us as people, and like they're really, they're making it tough, like, for anybody to really unify, because I feel like it's just so easy now for anything, whatever you to do, to get infiltrated.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean.
Like, if you just open the door,
yeah,
and then you just need people that be with you, really, to like vet people with you. At that point, like, I guess you have your process, but like you said, like, time is of the essence right now. And I honestly, who knows how it could be by next May or something. Like, I really don't know. Like,
yeah,
they talking about the third booster.
it don't stop
6
there.
months after your last. Yeah, so he took it on camera today.
Did he though?
The president.
Did he?
Yeah, I know, but yeah, I don't know. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
The sentiment happened on camera today.
Yeah.
and I just, I'm just like, man, like they really pushing this agenda. And you see Kyrie, you see the dude from what was it, Wiggins
Andrew
or whatever.
Wiggins, right?
He tried to get religious exemption, and they were like, no, you need to join the cult.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
right.
Man,
and
I don't. It's
and another thing too
a lot of people
is people are talking about the celebrities coming out, like Nicki Minaj, and they were talking about Rihanna wearing the think while it's still legal shirt. And honestly, I don't, for me personally, I don't look too much into that. For Nicki Minaj, I definitely give her props more so, but with like Rihanna,
I'm just sad that you got people like Nas, not saying anything about it, like just acting like it's gonna go away. And then and it's like, man, you're from Queens, you need to be the one, you need to be also, I don't know. It's crazy, it took the female to do that, and right. It's like, oh man.
That's what my brother said. My brother said she's the biggest gangster in the game right now.
All I
in the
could
old rap game.
all I could say is it has to be a lot going on behind the scenes, you know.
Hmm.
Also because something that I've been really thinking about is like, the black celebrities, they're not even really 1% of that population of that group that they're categorized in. So they gotta have a little setup where Jay-Z and the head honchos, they set up meetings and they discuss shit too. Because I'm just like I'm thinking like the way Nikki came out and then she was just like saying how they've been talking about it. I was just listening closely to her messages and I'm just kind of like, damn, they they already know they can't say. We know they can't say shit, but they're
Hmm.
trying to and I feel like in a way a lot of them want to say shit, but and they're just trying to figure out a way where they can say it without risking it, their families and everything because that's how deep this shit gets. At this point, it's not even just about you. They coming for your family, they coming for your neighbors, they coming for whoever. And I believe that a lot of people right now, they have to understand this is a spiritual thing. So you need to really start preparing your spirit for war. So that's why, when we're talking about interacting, outside with the sun, I have a brother that I watch all the time, Al Kebulon. He's always talking to people about fasting and telling people about going outside and interacting with the sun and actually paying attention to the numbers, right? Because everything is in the numbers too. I'm really starting to see that. And the
Hmm.
fact that if people go back right now, right? And just see how like okay today we're in retrograde and just think about everything that's happening. They want to roll out the vaccine and all these things that they want to associate with basically the whole thing about fall is like setbacks, right? Like we're supposed to just chill and supposed to fall back and allow things to kind of harvest and slowly bubble up. Well, I'm starting to think right now they're preparing us for some hard ass shit to come in the winter that I think people need to start preparing for right now. And that's why I'm saying spiritually people need to be prepared because this is not, this is definitely not the end of all this drama. I think this is just the very beginning of what's to come.
I agree.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure you guys are familiar with Agenda 2030.
Yep.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know how. I don't know if that's just wishful thinking or they're trying to go faster than that. I really don't know. I, I really don't.
Well,
Man.
I'll tell you what I believe, and I only believe this because of what I've seen so far, is Trump wasn't supposed to win. Um, it was set up for Hillary to win. Now, if Hillary would have won, we would have been literally in hell on earth, because this would have been a prolonged situation. Now, with Trump winning and so many things being exposed, um, they had to speed up. They had because it's an awakening happening. We're literally in the middle of an awakening. We see people are awakening. We see others that want to stay on this matrix or in this matrix because it's comfortable to them. You know what I mean? All they know is the physical. They don't know anything outside of, going to work, going to school, having sex, having babies, having a family. You know what I mean? They're stuck in the matrix.
Hmm.
So they refuse to believe that anything other than any of that exists. So we have movies, literally. We have movies where we see CIA agents, FBI agents, they're going around, they're assassinating people and all these movies about aliens and this, that, and the third. And we sit there and think all of this is entertainment. This is coming from somewhere. You know what I mean? This stuff, anything that you can think of already exists. Anything. Doesn't matter. You know what I mean? So
Ready Player One, bro. I hope y'all seen that movie, bro. That shit is preparing us for a virtual reality that is going to become realistic in within the next, I say 1 or 2 years, because they already
It doesn't, yo.
they
It
have
it wouldn't take that long. You're right. It wouldn't take that long.
it's coming.
right.
Like they,
Like, because I feel like how far off is the game when you watch people play live or they just leave it playing? It's really not that far off from like the real thing anymore. I feel like in 10 years, like how could you? That'd be like if you grew up in it and you grew up with the VR around your head. as the kids, you know what I mean? Like in 10 years, where are you going to be? Like if you can't move around, if it's more like mandates where you can't go certain places or whatever, like they're going to be on the VR more just because they can't simply afford a life. So I
That's
just,
true.
I don't know. I really, how would they know the difference of even being like in a game or in their life, you know, if they've been growing up in it? It would be seamless. I feel like, I don't know. That shit
And
is
it makes
crazy.
sense to make people stay at home, get familiar with technologies. Even the older people that, you know, survived the whole drama, they had to learn how to get accustomed to technology, how to work computers. You know, your grandma, she probably wouldn't even care to learn about technology even 2 years ago,
Yeah.
but now she has no choice because of the times that we're in. And it's like a lot of people
Yeah.
are
Zoom. Yeah.
communicating through just technology that was allowing them to basically roll out this exploration of we're going to see how many people give into this virtual reality, because now they have a think about it, bro, they have a show on TV where the singers are basically like they basically perform as a virtual avatar of their choice.
I was just talking to my mom about
And I'm
this.
like, bruh,
The Masked Singer,
yeah,
right?
bro, it's
Hmm.
crazy. And
Yeah.
I'm
Man.
like, I just seen a,
Black Mirror shit.
I seen a football team, the Carolina Panthers. They had a digital ties, like a VR,
I saw
like
that Jaguar or
realistic
something.
Panther
Panther.
on the field. And I'm like, damn, they have
Yeah,
been
Project
so.
Bluebeam type of stuff.
Man, and look, they've been working on this innovation with technology for so long, man. That's why I'm telling people we have to get our shit together, because they're trying to put it to a situation where they don't need us, and they can just base everything and all their production off of technology. That's why they're not hesitating to move us out of jobs, move us out of everywhere like that. They don't want us, the main cities, you know, moving us off the land, fucking up the crops. They're doing all this shit because they're in their mind, they're like, we're so innovative with our technology. By 2030, we won't need humans anymore. And I'm like, man,
Correct.
we need to get ahead of that curve, because we are the ultimate technology, and we can see that because we create these
Right.
things. We create all these
Absolutely.
things, and we will be the victim of our own demise, because we as a group, we are too stubborn to push forward and accept that this is the way that things are headed. I feel like people have a problem with accepting the truth of reality. They want to see things in a comfortable mindset, because that's what people search for these days. They're searching for comfort. You know, it's a pandemic going on. You know, people are dying left and right, and there was riots. It was all type of shit. Some people were just really wanting to feel comfortable, and a lot of people, honestly, they just don't give a fuck, man. It's just like we
Hmm.
saying, we talking about COVID. It's like motherfuckers did not give a fuck. Because look, if these people were so scared and everybody was so aware, why would everybody rush outside and go back and interact and do all this crazy shit? I'm not saying that you couldn't go out and be with people, but people went out to bars, they went and did everything they
Hmm.
wanted to do, right? But they claiming that this shit was so scary. And I'm like, listen, bruh, if y'all can go out and do all this crazy shit, why can't you just take the time to do research and actually put in the same effort you would to go out and enjoy yourself? You got to put that effort in to take care of your mind, body, and spirit. And
Absolutely.
people want to take care of these things when it's too fucking late. And that's where we're getting at, is that you can't take these things for granted. You know, they're trying to build another sun and some more shit. Like they trying to take away our connection with natural things, bro.
Mm.
They're burning half of California is on fire right now, bro. You know what I'm saying? They burning the forest. I can't even go on my favorite hiking trail right now because it's been suffering for so much fire damage. And this is shit they do on purpose, because when you go out in nature and you ground yourself and you disconnect, it's a whole different level, bro. And I feel
Yep.
like when people go out in nature, I always say this, bro. You could yell, you could scream, you could do whatever the hell you want to do. Nature doesn't really care. Nature is built to embrace all of that. That's why you're supposed to go out there and put all your anger and your frustration out there, because nature is the ultimate healer. Because when you put that out there, nature is not embracing that. That shit is passing through the trees, it's passing through everything, because all that energy has to get chopped up and deciphered so it can be recycled back and bring you good vibes. See, that's what people are not understanding about the cycle of life and why we need to be connected to the trees and the birds and everything around us. Because if you don't connect to it, you won't understand you won't receive that law of attraction from Mother Earth and Mother Nature in ways that you claim that you're seeking to seek them. You know what I'm saying?
Agreed. Agreed. And I want to say this too, to capitalize on what everything you just said, though, is number one, I saw a comment earlier that said something about pushing fear or spreading fear. It's nothing that we're talking about is spreading or pushing fear. It's what we're doing is we're trying to make sure people understand what is going on and what direction that these people are trying to take everybody. Because if you don't know, then how are you going to be able to prepare for that? It's going to be impossible. You know, you're not ready. So you have to understand, we all see what's going on this planet right now. And it's not just in the United States, it's globally. So it's not something you can brush off. It's something that you need to be aware of, because that's what one of the best things you can possibly have is awareness of your surroundings, awareness of your body, your mind, everything. So right now we have outside sources trying to be inside of you. And I don't know who's okay with that, but I'm definitely not. So prepare yourself, prepare yourself for, whatever may come. And that's exactly what you were talking about. So that's number one. Number two, though, is if you guys have any questions, though, for T-Bud, throw some questions down there in the hit the question bar. Write some questions so that he can answer them for you. If anybody wants to come on as well on the live and maybe ask a question or two real quick, then we're leaving that open for you guys too to have some dialogue. So
Absolutely, absolutely.
yeah, so
All right, yeah, no, I mean, you're hitting on it. Is yeah, they want to disconnect you as much as possible from everything that reminds you of the truth, the truest you, and all of that.
Hmm.
Like, I really do feel like they want to incubate people, and it doesn't, like, everything's been like sped up, as far as like people's, like, I feel like lifespans and everything, like people having sex earlier, everything having periods earlier, everything's just like sped up. So if you like intercept the whole generation and get them more on this like distance type thing, or that's like heavily in the society, then like I feel like you can really start to incubate people through the VR like that, and like really on some Matrix shit, because you won't be able to tell the difference. If you grew up in that, like, I feel like, yeah, it's just like if you like fall asleep in a dream, and you wake
Uh-huh.
up in another dream.
yeah,
It's like the
exactly.
same, you know. So then they're just feeding off the human body, because it is the best technology. So it's like the best power plant. So like they still, and honestly I feel like at some level maybe because they want to control the breeding, they want to control the eggs and the sperm as much as possible. They probably want to, I mean, they had like a Zorro Ranch out there, man. They were trying to breed people.
Sure did.
Epstein and the governor of New Mexico. You know what I mean? I feel like they were definitely trying. They probably, if they can body snatch, I feel like why wouldn't they just take as much of the genetic pool as they desire or whatever,
Mhm.
and do whatever they want to,
Bro,
as far as like
they
manipulating
started.
to create like a body that they can go into, or
Well,
however,
there's
because
a
I don't know.
movie from back in the day called The Boys. I believe it's The Boys from Brazil. I don't really want to spoil what that is. If anybody knows that movie, have you
I
guys seen
was
that?
going. No, no, no. I haven't.
Okay,
I was gonna talk about A Brave New World and ask y'all if y'all read that book, A Brave New World, because this shit is so
don't think I have.
similar to what's happening right now. Well, yeah.
No,
I know of Aldous Huxley, but I've never read the book.
yeah, I've never read that one.
Listen, A Brave New World is talking about the same shit y'all talking about right now. It's like programming. It's like kids born in a certain with certain characteristics. They have been cloning them, and then they're basically
Mhm.
born in artificial wombs and shit. Like, so when I think about the future, that's what I think. I think they don't even care about they don't even care about the covering or protecting the nature of a woman. They're like,
Right.
if we can create life ourselves, we don't have any
Well,
use for anything or for
well,
anyone.
you see, they're calling them birthing people now. They're not. They're
Yeah,
no longer
you can draft
mothers.
women now, and women gotta apply for yeah, what is it? Whatever. When you gotta apply because you might get it's something with the military, right?
Right. Yeah.
To where if you there's a draft
Yep.
now, they're trying to make it to where women they gotta report to that so they could get drafted. It's just another way of just like fucking
Depopulation.
both of us. Yeah.
And so, I mean, yeah, we understand pretty much what the agenda is. People should know. The people who are aware and are awake should know. There, in my opinion, there should be a united non-compliance with all of this, because when you sit down and you don't speak, this is exactly why we're doing this. These lives is because we want to make sure people are informed. We want to make sure people have a platform to some degree to be able to voice, what they probably can in their everyday life. People are losing their jobs. People are losing connections with family members, friends, you know what I mean? And this stuff is happening because there's a certain frequency that people are on that other people are not on, this is a time where we're going to lose those connections and we're going to lose those people. And so, in your experience, has any of that happened to you, or have you been pretty much to yourself because, that was just part of your journey, like just to be more solo?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I definitely have. You feel like pitfalls and like parasites on the way,
Pretty much,
or
yeah.
what? Yeah, no, I definitely had to experience certain things, man. Like to value certain things that I wasn't valuing,
Mm.
at the time, and I was taking them for granted, and parasites would get me, and because I had no value for it, so I had no reason to get rid of them. And then once I could find some value for different things in my life, I was like, man, yeah, is this crazy how just you're tolerating things that just disrespectful. It's just like it all starts with like lying to yourself and stuff. But I I really don't know how it could go, man, with this, like, because I feel like something's got to give, but it is kind of wild because I seen like in New York State they got that teachers thing, like all the teachers got to be vaccinated by this upcoming Friday, or it's like 28,000 teachers or something going to get fired. And it's like, so you're going to bring in all teachers that are all in the cult. So then the kids are getting, if they are going to school, they're getting that. Or if you go to the hospital, it's all cult members in there. It's like, damn, like, where is that? Because it feels like it's colonization of the body. Like we've been colonized as a species by a foreign body, pretty much, like by a parasite. Has colonized the whole species.
Yep.
At this point, pretty much all of us. You know what I mean? And it's like the more that we eat food that they grow and stuff like that, we don't build our own houses. We don't, what I mean? We're not doing so many things that like we're not completing the processes of so many things in our lives. You know what I mean? And so they fill all those gaps. And it's like you realize how colonized you are the more that you cleanse and, you're detoxing your whole body in every way to where, I feel like it's just colonization, like every time you think about certain flavors and textures and stuff like that, it's just like part of the colonization. I mean, but if you're getting injections, I think there's just another level of colonizing your system. And like, I really don't know I wonder what this is going to do. It just looks like that. I don't know what they're going to do in conjunction. Once you're like at the 5th booster, even if you did survive, how you're going to be dumber each time, right? I
don't. No, it's everything you're saying is 100% facts. And I'm thinking, once again, I believe, like, when I say this, I feel like from a more spiritual aspect as to where, how can you let something invade your space? You know what I mean? Where it's like, Dolores Cannon said this, and I love that she said this. I thought this was great. She said that we have a body, but we are not a body. So you are occupying a body that is, that you're controlling. When you start having these outside outsourced things invading your space, as someone put in the comment section, invasion of the body snatchers. This is exactly what we're doing. They are literally invading your body and telling you what they want to do with it. I think it's absolutely crazy. And if you're someone who's stuck in this matrix way of thinking, then you're not going to be able to see this from a different standpoint. And so this is kind of like where we are, where we have these people who are thinkers, these people who are aware and these people who simply are not aware. And to be honest, I gave up the whole game of trying to wake people up like a while ago. It's more so about focusing on myself. And so that's why I asked the question of, whether you feel yourself being a little more solo and just focusing on you, because I feel like at the end of the day, that's all we do have is ourselves. You know what I mean? We are going to die, solo. I can't die for somebody, you know.
Yeah.
Either when the body's gone, you exit the body. And so I feel like right now everybody has to make a choice. They have a choice to make, whether you want to be invaded and have these people basically own you, or you don't. You want sovereignty and you want freedom, and not just for your body, but for your soul. We got people walking around soulless. So, with that being said, I feel like I really do feel like everybody needs to just get back into tune with themselves first. That's the first thing everyone should be doing. It should be you first. You got people going into relationships thinking someone else is going to make them happy or whatever. Once again, you're dealing with something outside of you and not internal. And the more that you do that, the less you're going to have control over the things that are around you, not just inside of you. You know what I mean? The awareness of your body and all this. So, yeah, I mean, now I feel like is a dire time for people to be like we were talking about with fasting, becoming less, be less, because less is more. And once you are just, you're infiltrated with all these things around you, then you start to become, it's like brain fog on the outside. You know what I mean? Like it's like internal
Yeah.
brain fog on the outside, distractions and all
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, the more that you give things up, the more confidence you have and to continue on. And like people just gotta just experience it for themselves. You can't really force feed it. And like, yeah, I just feel like the more that you're giving things up in your life, that you just find appreciation for other things. It's not like there's any lack. It just shifts. And like
True.
you just gotta just like a little bit of patience, and you could just see like, oh man, that's right. I forgot I even like this right here. I used to like this as a kid, whatever, you start drawing or whatever you do. And yeah, I just feel like people, to get back and really in touch, you got to really get in touch with your breath, man. I really feel like people got to really get in touch with their breath. And, it really, it's your spirit, it's like your
Mhm.
signature. So it's like, if you're not in touch with that, then it's so many things you're not going to be in touch with so many other things, because it's just the way energy circulates through your body is going to start with the way you breathe. And if you're breathing shallow, then you're going to have a shallow life. And, if you're breathing completely, you're going to have a more complete life. And, just change, just changing it a little bit, getting up and doing breath work for 20 minutes every day, for 5 days, and doing that before food or water, that would change anybody's life, because you're just going to get back. It forces you to process the food that whatever you have in your system physically, but then everything that you've attached to that food, you start to actually process the emotional attachments to the food, and what you're really trying to fill yourself, because you feel empty. So you're trying to fill yourself with something that's like more of an emotional eating and not like a nutritional eating. So then the more that you process the food and all the attachment to the food through breathing first and putting that element first, air, fire, water, earth, if you can respect the chain of elements more, and people just did that, their diet would just change everything. They would get in touch with themselves in like 5-6 days. But, it's, people that have like immense trauma, it could be tough, because you're going to have to, probably have some depression sessions, right? They cry, breathe through some of that crying. If some serious things happen to you, I know people been raped and stuff like that,
Yeah,
but like,
Make sure they breathing
it's so
outside
worth
too,
it.
man. Make sure y'all breathing outside. Don't be breathing in your bathroom and shit. Where you
that's true.
go
Yeah.
That's
outside in
true.
nature. Go outside in nature. Go by right next to a tree. Touch the tree if you need to. Feel the energy around you, and practice your breath work. It's better to do it in like a natural environment, or you could go to the ocean, and even in a shower. And if you really want to test yourself, you should practice your breathing
Cold
exercises in
shower.
cold showers. There we go.
Yeah.
Cold showers. If you can master breathing and and also not scream in the midst of a cold shower, you are one step ahead in developing, willpower and discipline,
Hmm.
and ultimately just optimal health, because cold showers are really good for your immune system because it
Yep.
shocks the body and it helps you build more white blood cells, and it
True.
actually helps it helps you cognitively as well, and it gives you energy. Like if you're a little bit out of tune, you should just take a cold shower for about 2 to 5 minutes, and you should get out of the shower feeling, refreshed and relaxed.
Hmm.
So that's another
I would
thing
do
that
it
people
all the
could definitely.
time when I personally fast. I have a whole routine. And then another thing that I don't know if we want to talk about this briefly, but I do know that you have some videos on this too. T-Bud, was semen retention for men, and how important
Oh
that
yeah,
is.
man. That's really everything, man. Like for male, I mean, for everything in life, man. It really is like when males aren't respecting the seed, especially as a collective, man. It really is like putting the queen on top of the kingdom. It really is dumb. Like it ruins the whole process of creation.
Right.
It really like messes the whole system up, the whole everything, the way money flows, everything. Because everybody is existing off of somebody busting a nut, and every action is somebody busted a nut.
Mm.
So like if people are just wasting that energy constantly, that could really potentially create life every time. Copy yourself like that to like that's just it's just so damaging to you on so many levels, like how it desensitize you and the females too get desensitized by accepting that energy. It's like
Hmm.
it's a suicidal ass energy, man. That's why it's like it's a lot of abortions because people they're not in touch with their body or their breathing or with their desires, like in a way where they could realize like this is a desire from a part of me that I can't put this part of the pyramid on the top or anywhere near it can't be. I have to put it in its place, and I feel like yeah through tantra and through controlling your breathing,
Hmm.
and respecting your body in general, like you just it's so much easier. It's not like you stop. It's not like you don't enjoy stuff. It's just that you've been so hardwired to ejaculate
Right.
that it changes like your whole nervous system in the way that you enjoy things, like the way that you accept pleasure in life. Like if you're just ejaculate, it's the most like euphoric thing a person could do. Like next to like DMT or something. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's really like that's it. So it's like busting a nut should be like the event kind of in your life, and like like a natural DMT trip or something. Like I feel like because really like that's like total alignment with God or the Creator.
Right.
If you really respected it more, you can still have sex and just do it tantrically.
Exactly.
And then when you want to create your body, you would just know. You'd be like, all right, fine, I can accept this right now. I'll do, and you would be so sensitive,
Hmm.
Hmm.
having not done it, and then you would actually be present for it, and then you wouldn't abuse. There's no way to abuse it that way. You're like, man, all right, look, I completed the whole process. It's like the same thing. Like if you're not growing your food, it's like the same thing. Like if you're not busting a nut to create a fucking baby, then it's like something like because nothing pulls out. That's a definitely a parasite. If you're not busting a nut to have a kid, it's a crazy parasite situation going on
Yeah.
because it's something between you and that whole creative process. Like you're not even going through the whole process. Like you're just cutting it off at this point, with this euphoric point, so it's something between you and that whole process, like of you and creating and going through, fully experiencing your fruits, your loins or whatever. If you're giving the seed up, which is like your past and your future, because it's your ancestors and it's your future. It's like you're giving up all your dreams too, because your kid is going to have a kid, and then when you go to sleep, you're going to be in the kid's body in that life in the further lifetime. So like, so the more that you do that, and you're just tossing that away, then you're just getting fragmented in your consciousness, and that's why I feel like they want to breed us to control, like to have the body snatch,
Hmm.
because then it doesn't matter. It's like a rental; they could just crash and just fragment as much as possible and do whatever to please the senses, and that's what I really feel like. This, if it got, if they're doing a body snatching scenario, I feel like it's like that. But people are already getting body snatched, man, because it's like if you're busting a nut, especially if you're doing it to porn or something, it's not even breathing back. You're busting a nut, you're like really in hypnosis. Like you really are not, like you're really not there. Like it's like you've attracted everything. Like you have it. Creation is alignment. You're aligning with things to create, and so like
Shit.
if
We
you're
about to
going
go
into
off
that
in five
creative
seconds.
process.
Hold on. We're about to go off in five. We might have to re